You ever sit in a room full of people and still feel like nobody sees you? Like your life's on autopilot and your spirit checked out a long time ago? Good. Stay right here, because what you're about to hear might just wake something up in you. Not the part you show the world, the real you, the you that's tired of pretending. You're not here by accident, so don't scroll. You're exactly where you need to be. Rebuilding yourself isn't about becoming someone new. It's about finally removing everything that's not you. It's about unlearning the noise, the expectations, the lies you've swallowed for so long they started to feel like truth. You weren't born to play small. You weren't born to shrink for the comfort of others. And you sure as hell weren't born to be a shadow of yourself just to keep peace. At some point you've got to ask, am I building a life I want, or just surviving a life I didn't choose? Oprah once said, turn your wounds into wisdom, and that's not just a quote. That's a blueprint, because the pain, that betrayal, that failure you thought would destroy you, it's not your ending. It's the construction site of who you are becoming. Let me break it down for you. You know what's wild? Most people go their whole lives trying to take up less space. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. They dim their light so someone else won't feel uncomfortable. They shrink their voice so they're not too much. They swallow their dreams, their fire, their truth, just to keep the peace or stay liked. But let me tell you something real. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of you. There's a reason you've always felt like you had more to give. There's a reason your dreams have always felt a little bigger than the box they tried to put you in. You weren't born to be average. You weren't built to blend in. And if your light makes someone squint, that's not your fault. It's their adjustment issue. Stop apologizing for being the one in the room with vision. Stop tiptoeing through conversations so you won't offend people who never even tried to understand you. You're not here to be digestible for everyone. You're here to be real, and real doesn't always fit neat. Real takes up space. You've been taught that humility means hiding, that confidence is arrogance, that pride in who you are is some kind of flaw. No, real humility is knowing your worth and not having to scream it. But make no mistake, you still walk like you know. You still speak like you mean it. You still move like your steps matter, because they do. You were never meant to live quiet in your spirit. You were never supposed to mute your voice just so people who can't handle your frequency don't feel triggered. That's not your job. Your job is to show up fully. Loud, clear, powerful, true, and yes, it's going to make some people uncomfortable, but discomfort is not your responsibility. You don't get more time to waste trying to blend in. You don't get a second round at this version of life. The world doesn't need another copy-paste human. The world needs you exactly as you are, unfiltered. So breathe deeper, stand taller, and let them feel you when you enter the room. Your energy is everything. It's not just about being tired or feeling drained. It's deeper than that. Your energy is your peace, your focus, your vibe, and not everybody deserves a piece of it. You have to stop giving the best parts of yourself to people who don't know how to hold them. Stop explaining your soul to those who only speak surface. Stop pouring into people who leave you empty every time. The truth is, you can't rebuild yourself if you're constantly letting other people tear you down, through their words, their doubt, their chaos. You've got to protect your space like it's sacred, because it is. Not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Not everyone who claps for you is cheering. Some people only come close so they can distract you, drain you, or dim you. That's real. Start paying attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel lighter, or do you feel like you need to recover? That's not random. That's your body and spirit trying to tell you something. You don't have to make excuses for walking away from people who interrupt your peace. You're allowed to say, I'm not available for that energy anymore. You're allowed to not answer that call. You're allowed to let go. It's not being cold, it's being clear. You're building something new now, and anything that doesn't support your growth, your healing, your vision, doesn't get a front row seat in your life. You're not selfish for choosing yourself. You're not wrong for resting when the world wants you to keep running. You're just finally learning that your peace is expensive, and you're done giving discounts. The stronger you become, the more you'll notice the need to be selective. Not out of fear, out of wisdom. Energy is like currency. If you keep spending it on what doesn't serve you, you'll be broke where it really matters. So guard it, protect it. Choose people who pour back into you, not just take. Because your energy is the foundation of everything you're trying to build, sometimes the loudest breakthroughs come in the quiet. We're so used to noise, scrolling, checking, answering, reacting. Constant movement, constant distraction, but healing doesn't always come wrapped in motivation and music. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up in silence, and that's where most people run. They run from the stillness because they're scared of what they'll hear when everything else fades. But silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. It's where you meet the parts of yourself you've been ignoring. It's where the truth shows up without a filter. When you sit with the silence, you give your mind a break and your soul a chance to speak. And the soul speaks in stillness, not chaos. You don't always need another voice telling you what to do. Sometimes you already know. Deep down, your gut's been whispering it, but you've been too busy to listen. Too distracted, too wrapped up in the noise of the world. That's why you have to slow down sometimes. You have to unplug, not because you're quitting, but because you're reconnecting with yourself. Sitting with silence teaches you patience. It teaches you how to be present, and most importantly, it teaches you that you don't have to chase peace. It's already inside you, waiting. You just need to stop long enough to feel it. When you're quiet, you start to notice things you missed. You feel your own heartbeat again. You remember what matters. Don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to sit with your thoughts. That's not weakness, that's courage. The kind of courage most people never practice. Because facing yourself takes more strength than facing the world. There's power in being still. Power in not always reacting. Power in just breathing, reflecting, listening. When you sit with the silence long enough, you'll realize you don't need to force clarity. It finds you when you finally stop running. Not every season is about action. Some seasons are about listening. Rebuilding isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about being still enough to feel what needs to come next. One of the hardest parts of rebuilding yourself is realizing that not everyone is meant to come with you. Some people only love the version of you that stayed quiet, stayed small, stayed the same. They were comfortable with your past, but they feel threatened by your growth. And that's not your fault. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to wake up one day and decide that the old version of you doesn't live here anymore. But here's the truth. Some people will try to guilt you for growing. They'll say you've changed like it's a bad thing. They'll pull on old memories, try to remind you who you used to be, just to make you shrink back into that box. Don't fall for it. The people who are meant for you won't fear your growth. They'll celebrate it. They won't try to hold you in your past. They'll walk with you toward your future. If someone only supports you when you're struggling, but disappears the moment you start rising, that's not love. That's comfort disguised as connection. You've got to learn to release the ones who can't handle your healing. Because if you keep dragging people who don't want to grow, they'll eventually pull you back down, and you've come too far for that. This journey you're on, it's not just about getting better. It's about getting real, and part of being real is knowing when it's time to let go. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to defend your progress. Protect your energy and move forward. It's not personal, it's necessary. Sometimes distance is love. Sometimes letting go is growth. Sometimes losing people is exactly what makes space for the right ones to show up. And yes, it might feel lonely at first, but what's lonelier is pretending to be someone you're not, just to keep people close who were never meant to stay. You deserve connections that honor the new you, not the one you had to survive to become. Keep building, keep evolving. The ones who are meant to walk with you will find you on the way. Failing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying. It means you had the courage to step out of your comfort zone and do something real. And maybe it didn't work out the way you hoped. Maybe it hit harder than you thought it would. But failure isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. You've got to stop letting failure make you feel like you're not enough. You are not your mistakes. You're not the job you didn't get, the relationship that fell apart, the dream that didn't go how you planned. Those things happened, yes, but they don't define you. What defines you is what you do next. What you choose to learn, how you keep moving forward even when it hurts. Failing forward means using what didn't work to push you toward what will. It means taking the lesson and leaving the shame. Most people fail and then freeze. They let the fear of failing again stop them from trying. But you're different. You're rebuilding, and rebuilding requires risks. It requires falling down, standing up, and going again with more wisdom than before. Think about it. How many people never even start because they're too afraid of failing? Too afraid to look stupid, too afraid to lose. But guess what? Playing it safe is the fastest way to stay stuck. If you want something different, you've got to move different. And that means failure isn't a stop sign. It's a stepping stone. Every successful person you admire failed, not once, not twice, but over and over. The only difference, they didn't stop. They failed forward. They used every fall as fuel, and you can do the same. This journey you're on isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about giving yourself permission to mess up, learn, and keep going. You grow through what you go through, and every time you rise after falling, you're proving to yourself that you are stronger than any setback. That's what rebuilding looks like. It's messy, it's real, and it's powerful. You don't have to wait until everything is perfect to love where you are right now. You don't have to have it all figured out to start appreciating your growth. Too many people are holding their self-worth hostage, waiting until they reach some goal, some number, some version of success before they let themselves feel proud. But rebuilding isn't about becoming flawless. It's about falling in love with the process. There's something powerful about looking at yourself in the mirror, even when things are messy, and saying, "I'm still proud of you." That kind of love, that kind of acceptance, it's what keeps you going when things get tough. Because the truth is, no one sees all the work you're doing behind the scenes, the internal battles, the late nights, the self-doubt, but you do, and that deserves recognition. Falling in love with your becoming means letting go of the pressure to be finished. It means learning to find joy in the in-between moments. It's waking up and realizing that you're not where you used to be, and that's enough reason to be grateful. You're healing, you're growing, you're showing up. That's powerful. You're going to have days where you question everything. Days where the vision feels far and the progress feels small. But even then, you're still becoming. Every step, every stumble, every decision to keep going, it's shaping you. And the more you start to notice that, the more you'll respect the journey, not just the destination. You don't need to be the best. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be real with yourself and gentle with the version of you that's trying. When you start loving your becoming, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing to prove yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. You find peace in knowing that you're building something solid. Something true, something yours, and that version of you that's unfolding right now, it's enough, not because it's perfect, but because it's real, and that's what rebuilding is all about. This isn't just a speech. This is a call to rebuild from the ashes, without apology, without waiting for permission, and without watering yourself down. Because you, right now, in the middle of your mess, still have the power to rebuild beautifully. And that power, it's already in you. Wake it up.